Consistency sounds good until it's time to keep showing up when you're tired, unmotivated, or not seeing results yet. In this episode, we're talking about what consistency actually looks like in real life, building realistic routines, staying disciplined, and learning how to follow through even when you don't feel like it. Because consistency isn't about perfection. It's about becoming someone who keeps showing up anyway. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Pretty Aligned Podcast. The space where we shift perspectives, reframe the way we think, and step into alignment with who we're truly meant to be. I'm your host, Octavia Darling, and every week we'll have real conversations that help you reset your mindset, overcome limiting beliefs, and create a life that feels good from the inside out. So grab your coffee, your tea, your journal, or just your open mind and get ready to receive. Let's get into it. Now that you've learned how to trust yourself again by keeping your promises to yourself, I will now share how to stay consistent when you create the plan to actually accomplish your goals. The first thing you want to do is stop depending on motivation. How many of you all wait to feel motivated before you actually do something? Now, don't lie, because we're holding ourselves accountable here, right? I'm not Miss Perfect Patty. I act like this sometimes as well. Well, no, I don't act like this as much as I used to, but I do find myself acting like this when I'm like tired or I'm hungry and I still have a lot of work to do. So when it comes to waiting or depending on motivation, the problem is that motivation is temporary. Discipline is what actually changes your life. Motivation comes and goes, right? It's based off of your mood, your feelings, and you're waiting to feel like it. And that's what keeps you inconsistent. But discipline creates stability. Your feelings cannot keep running your life. This is why I really want you all to grasp this point, right? So some examples could be skipping the gym because you're too tired, or not posting content because you're just not in the mood. Or maybe you're starting routines only when you feel inspired. Consistency starts when you stop negotiating with yourself. And this is something that I've learned over the years. When it comes to what I need to do, those are non-negotiables. If I have a goal that I want to reach, let's say, for example, I want to buy me a new house. Well, if I want to buy a new house and I map out what needs to get done so that I can achieve that goal, those bullet points are non-negotiable. I must be consistent with following through, keeping my promises, showing up for myself daily so that I can attain what I am desiring. The second thing is to build realistic routines that fit your actual lifestyle. So you don't need a perfect routine, right? You just need one you can maintain. A perfect routine is a lot of times what keeps people stopping and starting, because you're not being realistic with the type of life that you actually live and the one that you actually want to have. So stop creating routines you can't sustain. You want to focus on simple habits first. What are some things that I can change that will help me to become the highest version of myself? And it could be small habits. Maybe when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is pick up your phone and you start scrolling, right? Then you realize 30 minutes has passed and now you're rushing doing your beauty routine. You're rushing making your breakfast. You're rushing getting dressed, and you're rushing getting out of the house. Maybe instead of picking up your phone to scroll immediately when you wake up, how about you get straight to your morning routine? Then if you have time while you're eating your breakfast, you can do a little scroll here, a little scroll there, but at least your priorities have been taken care of. So you want to create structure without overwhelming yourself. An imperfect routine you stick to is better than a perfect one you quit. So you want to at least create a routine and make the adjustments as many times as you need to until it actually feels good and it aligns with what you want to achieve and who you want to become. Now, here's a few examples. That may look like you're trying to wake up at 4 a.m. immediately, but you know that you're used to waking up at 6 a.m. You might need to gradually build yourself up to reaching that goal. Or maybe you're overloading your to-do list. You have 30 tasks on your to-do list every single day when you can actually condense those tasks into maybe 3 to 5 and map out actionable steps to take. So instead of thinking of daily tasks, maybe it can be a weekly task instead. Or maybe you're setting unrealistic expectations. Now you have a lot on your plate. Why are you trying to be Miss Perfect Patty and do all of these other additional things that's going to create burnout for yourself? So you want to be mindful of the realistic routines that you're building to make sure that it aligns with your actual life. Because consistency grows through sustainability, not intensity. Now, if we talking about intensity, your girl used to be a very intense individual, and I blame my father for that because he was in the military and I was raised like a recruit. Wow, I must have really needed to let that out. My brothers and I, and when I say my brothers, I'm going to say more so my older brother, him and I'm talking about we would have to-do lists every single day, chores, posted on our doors, inspections, all kinds of stuff. And I hated it then, right? I really did. And I'm not going to say it was fun and anything like that, but I will say some of the things that we experienced definitely helped mold me into who I am today, right? When it comes to structure, when it comes to systems, when it comes to mindfulness, when it comes to responsibility, when it comes to managing my priorities, I am a pro at that. But I used to be way too intense to the point where I didn't allow room for mess ups. And so I used to really be hard on myself if I couldn't follow through or if things did not come out perfect. And this is what you don't want to do. All right. The second thing is keep small promises to yourself daily. So self-trust and consistency are actually connected. And if you didn't listen to last week's episode where I talked about if you need to learn or you want to learn how to trust yourself again because you've been lacking self-trust, check it out because I shared some valuable tips on how to do that. You must trust yourself in order to build a life that you're proud of. And in order to build a life that you're proud of, you must be consistent and follow through with keeping your promises to yourself daily. So self-trust, like I said, and consistency are connected. This may look like following through on your word, right? Because that builds confidence, and celebrating your small wins because they matter as well, right? Now, the habits that you implement in your life, they shape your identity. So it's very important to be mindful of what you're doing every single day. What habits do you have? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they a mixture of both? And what habits could you let go of that doesn't align with the identity that you want to embody? So every time you follow through, you become someone you can rely on. And I am a living testimony. I can 1000% rely on myself because I have learned how to keep my promises to myself daily. I do this by following through with my routines. I do this by not allowing my mood to determine my action. I do this by not relying on motivation before I do what I need to do. I do this by staying consistent. I do this by creating harmony. I do this by being honest with myself and trusting myself, right? So some examples could look like maybe you want to increase your water intake, the amount of water that you want to drink daily. And this is something I am definitely working on because I didn't realize how much I do not drink enough water, which is odd because I am a water drinker. Like y'all, that's my primary beverage. So sorry, tangent. Anyways, maybe you want to drink more water. So what does that look like, right? Maybe instead of drinking 1 bottle of water a day, start drinking 2 until you reach the goal. Or you want to start going for a walk because you realize you're not getting enough steps in. Let's map out how many days a week can you go for a morning or evening walk. Or maybe you want to start posting more consistently. Cool. Put it on your calendar. That's what I do, y'all. I create a time block for when I can engage with people on social media. Because if I don't do that, then sometimes I forget or I get caught up in other things that I'm not even thinking about social media like that. But engagement is a big part of this job as well, right? As a content creator or just someone who needs to grow their brand presence. So consistency isn't built in huge moments, right? It's built in repeated small choices. It's you showing up daily. It's you being intentional about the decisions that you're making, being mindful, and really trusting your intuition. Now, the 2 mindset shifts that I have made and I'm going to share with you all is the first one is consistency doesn't mean perfect. Like I shared with you all in the first example, I was a perfectionist. If things weren't perfect, I felt like I failed, right? So missing 1 day doesn't mean quit. Okay, you didn't make it to the gym today. That doesn't mean you wait until Monday. Get that out of your head. Okay? And I'm talking to someone specifically out there. There's someone out there who didn't make it to the gym and today, well, you're going to probably be listening to this on a Monday. I don't know what day you're listening to this, but when I'm recording this episode, it's a Wednesday, right? Let's say if I didn't go to the gym today, why would I wait to start over on Monday? That doesn't even sound right, y'all. Come on. You just got to bounce back, right? Or this might also look like stop turning setbacks into failure. So you didn't meet your daily quota. No problem. You didn't fail. There's always tomorrow, right? Maybe there's some things you need to tweak so that you can be consistent with meeting your daily quota. And also progress requires flexibility. You must be a flexible individual in order to progress in life. You can't be someone who is stuck, who is stagnant, who is just like, nobody can move you. Nothing can move you. You have to be flexible because life is forever changing. So 1 off day doesn't erase your progress. And did you know that perfectionism is one of the biggest reasons people stay inconsistent? Listen, the second mindset shift is your future is built by what you repeatedly do. We talk about this often on the podcast, how routines are important, how your habits are important, how you showing up daily for yourself is important. Those habits, they become your lifestyle. Repetition, it rewires your identity. Your routines, it shapes your results. So the life you want is actually hidden inside of the habits that you keep avoiding. Deep down, what you need to let go of. But you're still doing it. And the longer you keep doing it, the more you will delay on becoming who you're supposed to become. And I'm going to leave that at that. Your future self is depending on the version of you that keeps showing up daily. All right, love. Let's go over some relatable scenarios during this hot seat coaching segment. Remember, I welcome you to let me know what's going on in your world that needs a reframe. Send your scenario to me and I just might coach you on the podcast. The link to the submission form is listed in the show notes. The first scenario we have is the all or nothing cycle. So I have to laugh. You're the type of person, you're starting strong on Monday. Mondays are your days. Monday in your mind is the only day of the week to start something. Wrong. Right? That's just not it. Let's reframe that immediately. You need to start immediately. Stop waiting for Monday. The all or nothing cycle, missing 1 day, right? You're missing 1 day and you're completely giving up by the end of the week. No, you fall off, you bounce right back because you don't need to restart every time you mess up. The second scenario is the waiting to feel motivated. You're the type of person that says, I'll do it later. Or you're constantly chasing inspiration, right? You're not feeling inspired to do it. So I'm not going to do it yet. I'm waiting for that feeling. And you're never actually building real discipline. But here's the problem. Your goals cannot depend on your emotions, because our emotions are forever changing. So if our emotions are forever changing, what does that say about your goals if you use your emotions as the driving force? The third scenario is the setting unrealistic routines. You're creating a 20-step morning routine, love. You wake up an hour before you have to leave the house. Make that make sense, right? You're trying to change your entire life overnight. You get this grand idea. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then you immediately think your life is going to change. No, because you have to do what? Stay consistent, create new habits, build new routines, keep your promises to yourself, trust yourself. It's a system, right? So you do all of these things when it comes to setting unrealistic goals, and then you find yourself burning out quickly. The thing is, a sustainable routine beats an extreme routine every single time. That's why it's important to focus on sustainability. And the last scenario is the feeling discouraged by slow results. You may be thinking, I've been doing this and nothing's changing. You're the type of person who wants instant gratification, and then you often feel tempted to quit. Well, the results are building before you can fully see them. That's why it's so important for you to stick with it. And I'll use me for an example. I embarked on my career as a photographer 16 years ago. I can confidently say it is only now that I feel like I got it. Yes, I got it. I can confidently say, yes, I'm a professional photographer. Yes, I have my own business. Yes, I know how to manage my business. Yes, I'm a boss. Yes, I'm a CEO. I'm all of these things. Yes, I'm good at what I do. But guess what? Over the 16 years, I've been building the routines. I've been building my mindset shifts, right? I've been working on reframing my mindset. I've been building those daily habits. I've been learning from the losses that I would take. I've been learning from the cycles I had to break. I've been learning about how to shift identities and actually going within, doing the work to see what I actually want. Imagine if I would have given up because I didn't see how I was going to get there, or because I was thinking that nothing was changing. So don't feel discouraged by slow results. Stick with it, because you will receive what you deserve. Now, when it comes to consistency, it may get boring sometimes, right? But it's effective. You don't need to be perfect to be disciplined, okay? Those small habits, they create massive transformation over time. So showing up at 20% of yourself instead of 100%, it still counts. Discipline is important because it is a form of self-love. Now, if you're tired of constantly starting over and struggling to stay disciplined, this is exactly why I created my Get Your Shift Together accountability guide to help you build realistic routines, stay consistent, and finally follow through. So make sure you grab your copy today. This information is listed in the show notes. So for the questions I would love for each of you to reflect on this week is, what's one habit I keep saying I want to build? Am I relying on motivation more than discipline? What routines realistically fit the life I live right now? Where do I keep breaking promises to myself? What would change if I stayed consistent for the next 90 days? And am I quitting too soon because I can't see results yet? So with this being the last episode of the month of May, I'm so excited. This has been a fun ride, the series I've done over this month. Here's what I would do type of series. I hope that you all have definitely been enjoying these episodes as much as I have. And I must say, I'm excited to kick off the summer podcast episodes. I've been journaling about what I want to talk about with you all. And also, I am going to be restructuring some things with the podcast. So make sure you tune into next week's episode because I do have a surprise for you all. I'm so excited. And if you're not already, follow us on Facebook. I'm not going to even tell y'all to follow us on Instagram yet because I'm not as active on Instagram as much as I am on Facebook. I'm very active, very engaged there. The link to my Facebook page is listed in the show notes, so make sure you're following us. And also, if you love this podcast, give us positive reviews. All the love and support is forever appreciated. Thank you for hanging out with me today on the Pretty Aligned podcast. I hope something in this episode gave you a fresh perspective or a new way to see yourself. Remember, small shifts create big change. If you love today's conversation, share this with a friend who needs it and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next reset. Until then, keep aligning, keep growing, and keep becoming the best version of you. I'll see you in the next episode.